Welcome to The Sandbox with Justin Peters, connecting you to the ideas and tools to improve your life. Now let's go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of The Sandbox. Obviously, I'm your host, Justin Peters, and I am so stoked to finally actually be recording and creating my first podcast here. So I don't know exactly how to kick off a podcast, but I will give you guys a bit of news here. I quit my job last week. It's really surprising. Those that know me know I don't make irrational decisions without really having a logical plan, but it just felt right. I spent 8 years in the insurance business, and it was a great place for me to start my career. I wore a lot of different hats. Most recently, I was in a sales capacity, and I worked for a great organization. I loved my boss. He really cared about each one of his employees, and the job was interesting every single day and challenging, but I just realized it was no longer the service that I wanted to deliver to the world, if that makes sense. And I just had to take a step back. I'll be honest with you, I have no freaking clue what that service is, but I've decided to give myself some white space, to give myself the opportunity to explore different options. I'm really fortunate that my dad instilled some financial prudence in me, and I have no obligations in terms of student loans or mortgages or dependents that I have to take care of. And I can, spend 6 months exploring and kind of deciding what I want to do. So what is exactly the plan? I plan on using these 6 months to have interesting conversations with people in fields that I think are fascinating. I want to look for projects that will give me opportunity to continue to develop skills that I'm interested in. And I want to take time to job shadow and really see some of the behind the scenes of some potential careers, and maybe test drive a few opportunities before I jump 100% into them. With that in mind, if you're interested in helping in any capacity, I'm looking for some introductions, connections, some opportunities, as I was just mentioning there. So reach out to me. I have a list of a few things that I'm interested in, and I'm just going off and trying to explore some of those. So I'd love some help if anybody has some of that help. But along with this plan, these 6 months, I also really want to tackle some big personal goals that I have. I last year started running again, and I picked up a lot of interest in running now. So this year I want to do 1,000 miles, which just takes a lot of time. It comes out to roughly 2.5 to 3 miles every single day. But another big goal that I've always wanted to do was start a podcast. I love podcasts as a medium. I got really into it about 2 years ago, and some of my favorite podcasters, Jordan Harbinger, Tom Bilyeu from Impact Theory. I listened to How to Money. I really loved like I said, the medium for them to deliver their message to an audience. And I always thought it'd be fascinating to do something similar. But so I bought mics last spring. I have a Yeti mic here in front of me for anyone that's on video. And I told myself just about every single month, like, oh, this is the month I'm going to start recording something. This is the month I'm going to start recording something. And I always got paralyzed because I was trying to make things perfect. Like, let's really think through what the plan is here. Let's decide on what I want to say, what topics each week, even something like what the name is supposed to be, and what the logo is supposed to look like. And I just was trying to make too many decisions before I even pressed record, and it was driving me crazy. So now that I have some free time, I'm going to jump 2 feet into this and see if it's something that I'm interested in. It's not going to be perfect, but I've realized that the best way for me to get clarity around something like this is to just start doing. So here I am recording my first podcast. I'm hoping that through this exploration, I get better at interviewing and start figuring out the nuances of creating a show and deciding if it's something that I even want to formalize. I've named this The Sandbox. It's my pilot podcast. It's not about scalability. It's not about reach right now. All it is about deliberate practice and receiving feedback from my audience, anybody who does care to listen. With that in mind, I'm 100% open to feedback. Shoot me a text, give me a call, send me a message on Instagram, whatever way possible. Give me some constructive criticism. Give me some feedback, things you liked, something you didn't like. I would love to hear from you and bring you along in this journey to help shape what I really want to create here. So what's the show got to be all about? For anyone who doesn't know me, I am hardcore into self-improvement, this never-ending journey of just trying to be better than yesterday. So I'll be talking about top topics in self-improvement and cover areas such as career, health, money, relationships. I'll probably bring on a guest every single week and do a conversation with them and grab part of that conversation and plug it into my formal podcast here. With that in mind, I want to share with you a clip from a conversation with my first guest, Mason Stevens. Mason and I met in college playing soccer and instantly became best friends. If you haven't met him, he's outwardly ambitious and consistently seeking adventure. He grew up in a military family, moving around frequently during his childhood, which lends to reason why stranger isn't even in his vocabulary. He may be the only friend that rivals me in their aspirations to leave an impact on this world. Mason and I have had countless hours of conversation about self-improvement, so it was only instinctual that he'd be my first guest on my unofficial podcast. In this clip, Mason gave his advice on how someone starts their journey of a healthier life. I hope you enjoy. Let's change paths here. Let's talk about health. You are hyper focused on your health, both from the physical activity piece to it and the nutrition piece to it. And I think this is probably a big goal for most people. It's 2020, January 15th, 2020, as I mentioned, new year, new decade, lots of resolutions coming out. And I would assume, of the people that make resolutions, at least a third of them probably have some kind of health focused resolutions. And it doesn't come as natural to other people like it would come to someone like yourself. So if someone does, they haven't made health a priority, but they want to start making health a priority, what do you think is a good first step?
Love this question because the first step is one step, literally just one step forward. So to break it down, I had a friend that he was overweight. He wanted to make a change. Never was an active guy. And he's like, Mason, I really want to please help me lose weight. And I was like, perfect. Let's do this then. So at first, you just got to start by walking. You don't full commit. Don't go all in and try to run a marathon. You're running a marathon. It's not a sprint. Take your time. Go into it at your own pace. Warm your heart up. Feel it. Feel your body. So the biggest thing we did was we started walking. Just all right, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Once you get to 30 minutes of comfortable walking, all right, dude, try to jog. If jogging hurt, then you'd compensate it with a hill for walking. So we did walking, then he got to jogging, then he got to running, and this guy he lost 60 pounds, 70 pounds wow. Over the course of a year. And then that also came into his nutrition. He was eating fast food. He was drinking a lot of soda, lots of sugar. So then we just cut back. And I mean, I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not giving nutrition advice, but basic breakdown. You just got to cut out fast food. I'd say you could reward yourself if you'd go 3 or 4 days clean. But we would just eat the generic food, like chicken, like fish, your broccolis, like potatoes, sweet potatoes, a lot of carrots, fruit. Not a lot of fruit because there's a lot of sugar in it. Got him on some light protein for a meal replacement or a snack throughout the day. So it's really just he had ambition for it too. So he wanted to change, but the change was small steps became jogging, push-ups on the wall became push-ups on the bed, became push-ups on the ground. You start somewhere. You don't have to go in and kill yourself because that's where you'll lack that motivation. That's where you'll see a disappointment. But you have to reward yourselves for your small steps. If you walked 5 minutes, bro, you walked 5 minutes. That's more than you did the day before. So if you can use that step-by-step mentality, that pendulum momentum going you forward, that spark, that's how I'd say you start it. Because your body is a temple. Whatever you feed it is how you're going to feel. And I experienced this a lot when I would go and have a burger. Everyone can relate to this. You have a burger and fries. You have something like that. We all feel tired. We feel like lethargic after. It's crappy. But if you like go and you actually order like a Caesar salad at dinner, or you actually just get like fresh like baked fish and broccoli, I felt I just do it for my body, my temple. I want to see how I feel, and whatever makes me feel the best is how I'm going to try to make my core diet around. And it's not a diet, it's your life choice. So that goes into another step too. It's what you say in your head is what you're going to think. If you're like, oh, this is a phase, I'm just doing this goal, like you're just trying to reach something. I have goals for this year, but none of them are goals. Like it's my to-do list. It's the list I've done. Essentially, I've done everything on this list already. I know it's the 15th of January, but I've done everything because I'm not saying there's a possibility for me not to do it.
All right, welcome back. How freaking awesome was Mason? I think everybody needs to go out there and find a best friend like Mason. It's so great having him around in my life. He really does push me, challenge me to be a better person than I was the day before. So it was really fun to have him on my show. If you want to hear our full conversation, we talked about other topics such as his experience studying abroad and how ambition doesn't equate to action. So if you want to check out the whole conversation, go to my YouTube page. It's about a 21-minute conversation. There's a lot of other great material in there. I chose this clip from our conversation because I really liked his opening statement. The statement that the first step is one step, literally one step forward. It's conventional wisdom, I know. Yeah, of course, you have to take a step forward in any direction to accomplish your goal. But just because it's common knowledge doesn't mean it's common practice. I think a lot of people, myself included, try to create, they have a goal in mind, and they try to create this elaborate plan of how they're going to accomplish this goal. And then when it comes to actually executing on that plan, day one, it's so overwhelming to look at that. It could be, working out, and maybe you designed the perfect workout plan you see yourself doing in 6 months. I'm going to work out 5 times a week. I'm going to hit each one of these muscle groups and do, these 7 exercises, and it's going to, take me an hour and a half. And then you get to day one, just overwhelming thinking about executing on that plan. So I really challenge people to work towards standardizing before you customize. And what I mean by that is ask yourself this question: what's the smallest step I can do to make progress towards my goal? Whenever you start out on a goal, your primary focus should be building momentum. It's creating a habit. I think everybody knows that the research out there that it takes 21 days to make a habit. Take a step back whenever, especially with your health goals, take a step back and just decide what's one small step I can do to progress towards this goal. And that's where you should start. That should be your primary focus for your first 3 to 4 weeks. If you want to get out and be more active, maybe it's just taking a 5-minute walk outside. Or if you want to start working out, maybe it's doing a 1 to 2 minute workout in your room each night. If you want to start eating healthier, maybe it's to add one healthy side to each one of your dinners this week. So here's my challenge. Everybody knows I love challenges. And real quick, shout out to everybody who plays along with my Friday brain teasers on Instagram. I love you guys. I'm glad you guys enjoyed those. But my challenge for anybody who listens to this week is to decide one small step that you can take to progress on one of those goals that you've been putting off, especially if it's health focused. Decide on something you can do every single day this week, something you know you're going to commit to. If you have a goal, but you don't know what that small step could be, then send me a message on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or shoot me a text. Put the hashtag #OneSmallStepChallenge, and then tell me what your goal is. And I'll send you back a small challenge for the week, something that I think you can do every single day for the next 7 days to start standardizing this routine and developing a habit around your goal. so that you can take that habit and start to build on it later on to really get you closer to what you want. So thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate everybody who listened all the way through. Please, please, please give me feedback. I'd love to hear from you guys, something that you enjoyed about the show, something that you would like to see differently next week. And of course, shout out to Mason Stevens, my first guest. He was incredible. Once again, check out that full conversation if you're interested. Also, shout out to I don't know if you guys heard the music in my intro. That was produced by the one and only my little brother, Kyle Peters, who may also be my next guest on the show. So stay tuned for that. And then, of course, a big shout out to my executive producer, my better half, what I call the chief get shit done officer, Gabby Dymeke. She's obviously been my biggest cheerleader in my progressing forward on this goal. And this podcast would sound way more amateur if it wasn't for Gabby being on my team. So shout out to all three of you guys. Thanks for the help this week, and hopefully you guys tune in for my next episode with Kyle. So get out of here, guys. Enjoy your week. Take that one small step. If you don't know what that one small step should be, send me a message, and I will send you a challenge back. And hopefully you will tune in for my next episode. See ya.